Bro, I'm so glad I went over this because this makes me so happy. This makes me so happy.
Run it back, Philly. No frauds, no fanboys, no intros.
Sixers Nick Nurse talks accountability, experimentation on Tyrese Maxey's podcast. Nick Nurse said, when I was in Toronto interviewing for the job and just taking the job, Raptors fans would be in the airport and pass by and maybe turn around and say, hi, coach. I get to Philly and land, and they would be like, straight up, coach, you're going to do this and that? Like coaching me right off the bat. Yeah. Welcome to Philly, Nick. We know a little bit more. We care a little bit more, you know? And that's why I don't think there can be a down year. I don't think there can be, they're going to punt this year, or they're going to, you know, take a year off and retool the roster afterwards. A lot of Josh Harris's profit relies on season ticket holders, and Philly fans don't re-up season tickets if they don't believe in the team that year. It is what it is. And, you know, Josh doesn't want to go back into those Tony Roten, you know, Isaiah Cannon years where I don't know who the hell was buying season tickets, but I can't imagine anybody was. After years of disappointing early playoff exits and now quiet free agency, Sixers fans have been left wondering, why would this season be any different? Yeah. I'm saying the same thing. Arguably the biggest organizational change has been bringing Nurse in. Okay, let's get to the meat and potatoes here. Shout out to Lord Brunson. On the podcast with Maxey, Nurse delved into his coaching mentality from energy and accountability to experimentation on the court. Wow. These are all four things that Doc Rivers doesn't have. When those fans are walking up the stairs at the end of the game, they ought to be thinking, man, those guys played their backsides off. If they say that, no matter really what happens, then I think our coaching staff has done a good job. Man, that's such a good quote, man. This team looked so disinterested and literally looked like they were not trying. So many times under Doc Rivers, it was pathetic. I mean, it was pathetic. It was embarrassing. It was offensive. And I said it plenty of times. It's offensive. It's offensive for people to pay money, go to the arena, and have the merch and be excited, and you go out there and don't even give 100%. That's what I'm saying. You can suck it up all you want. We don't care if you suck. If you shoot 0 for 25, you just couldn't hit a shot. But if you shoot 2 for 8 in 40 minutes, you know what I mean? Tobias Harris finishing games of 40 minutes and 2 rebounds because he literally wasn't trying anything. So I'm excited for Nick Nurse to probably get the point across that, hey, whatever we do, we're going to try 100% because the fans deserve it. I love that. We like to be aggressive. We want to try to dictate. We want to get you back on your heels and come at you, both sides of the ball. It's just mentality. That's our vision. It takes a little bit of planning. It takes a tone at practice. I don't even think the Sixers practiced under Doc Rivers. These quotes make me very happy. These quotes make me very happy. This is about changing the entire culture from the inside out, from the bottom up. And I really think, look, I remember a trade. I'm not going to remember his name, but it was under Brett Brown. He was traded to the Sixers at the trade deadline. And he said a little bit later that he didn't know what his role was at all. Jimmy Butler said half the time he didn't know who was in charge at Brett Brown's practices. Then you get Doc Rivers in here, who for some reason we thought was going to be more accountable. And he seemed actually less accountable than Brett Brown. I mean, Dave freaking a week in, he was like, I don't care if Ben Simmons shoots the ball. And we were like, what? That's not exactly what we thought was going to happen here. What's going on here? And we were stuck with that for 3 years. So now it's a breath of fresh air to hear a coach like Nick Nurse say things like the fans should feel like the team played their asses off, you know, and it's our vision. It takes planning. It takes a tone at practice. From day one, we try to set that tone and we try to hold you guys accountable. And remember that one video that I shared where he said his rookie year, there was a game with Kyle Lowry, and Kyle Lowry shot the ball terribly and gave a poor effort, and Nick Nurse chewed him out. And he said, I'm coming after you. I'm coming after you. You know what I mean? Let's get to the point where he says about let's see. Use the word accountability has some meaning. Accountability, that's what it means to us as a coaching staff. Here's what we expect you to do, and we're going to expect what we expected, see where we're at, and learn from that. Having the nerve. Let me get this before I go down there. But there's an interesting one about what Tyrese Maxey asked him. It just comes from one basic statement of sometimes I think there has to be a better way. Sometimes I was watching those Doc Rivers offenses the whole season saying there has to be a better way. Sometimes I look at a situation on the court for 30 or 40 years, all the coaches I ever studied said it has to be done this way. And that doesn't make quite that much sense to me or the team I'm coaching. So I say, let's dream up something new, and we try it. It's like I'm so glad I went over this because this makes me so happy. This makes me so happy. I think if Nick Nurse and Doc Rivers were in the same room, say you forced Doc Rivers to coach alongside Nick Nurse or something like that. If somehow these guys were in the same room trying to work a basketball team, I think Nick Nurse would look at Doc Rivers and call him an idiot to his face. He's literally explaining everything we hate about Doc Rivers. There has to be a better way. I look at a situation, and for 30 or 40 years, all the coaches I ever studied, it has to be done this way. That's so what Doc Rivers was doing, bro. It has to be done this way. And it's going to work because it worked in 1964 or in 2008. Nick Nurse actually wants to dream up new ways to get things done and experiment in game. And here comes the zinger from Tyrese Maxey. One thing I really thought about was how you say you try new things and you test them out. Like, that's crazy. I've never had a coach that actually tests them out in a game. Bro, entire seasons we were like, why is Doc Rivers not experimenting with players in November? And then you get to the playoffs and have to, try to throw it all together or figure out something on the fly because he did the same thing every game all season long. The night before training camp starts, I'm going to have you guys all together, everybody in the organization. I'm going to ask you to have an open mind. We're going to do something. You're going to look and go, man, is that going to work? I don't think that's going to work, coach, but I'm just going to ask you to try it. And if it doesn't work, we're not going to be foolish and we're going to keep doing something that doesn't work. We'll just move on and do something else. This is the most open-minded coach I've seen in Philly forever. And I don't know if you can get 5 centers to work. I don't know if you can get Mo Bamba, Joel Embiid, Montrezl Harrell, and Paul Reed to work all together with no wings on the roster. But I like where he's going with this, man. I love the mentality, and I love the energy that he's bringing, and I love this mindset of we're going to try things. We're not going to be old, stubborn, and run the same thing into the ground. I love that. I love that. So that's what Nick Nurse said on Tyrese Maxey's podcast. And, it was some sly. I don't think Nurse was really aiming at Doc Rivers or anything. I don't even really think Tyrese Maxey intended to do that. But, going from Calipari at Kentucky to Doc Rivers in the NBA, I don't think Doc Rivers has seen a coach do too much experimenting on the fly. So that's why I said that, but it's just funny that, kind of everything when you get a new coach, kind of everything he says, it just makes you think about the things that you couldn't stand about the other one. And I'm happy about that.